I do want to move on to a meatier, more serious topic with you. And it's something that you and I have talked about a little bit over the years, and we touched on in our prep call as well. But it
Okay.
is really around equity in the creator economy.
Hmm.
I think it is an understatement to say that there are vast inequities in the creator ecosystem. And Black creators have faced those inequities, for years. So I'm curious, what changes have you seen in influencer marketing over the years? And what do you think kind of still needs to shift?
Yeah, I really appreciate you asking that because it's a thing that really should be openly discussed. It's a really challenging situation. And I think in terms of, and I think I know from my experiences with Black creators, it really is very much a copy paste of what we've seen transpire in America for a very long time in terms of
Mm,
Black culture, language, attributes being monetized and co-opted. And that's happened for a very, very long time. Like honestly,
yeah.
my entire career as a creator, and it continues to happen. And I think much like in America, you see people that ascend and you see people that achieve a high level of financial success, but it's a few. And obviously they worked hard to get there, but there are a lot of us that are also working hard and we're not getting there. And it's not because we're not working hard enough, it's because of the inequities. So I do see some changes in the industry in terms of agencies and campaigns and opportunities. But at the end of the day, we're severely underfunded. Black women get like less than 1% of all funding that's
Mm.
available through venture capitalists. So at the end of it, the inequity is huge,
Yeah.
and that continues to be a real issue.
Yeah. I'm curious, again, thinking about maybe younger creators who don't have the level of sophistication that you
Mhm.
have in the industry. Do you think that there is any way for young creators themselves to advocate for equity, both in the deals that they may be brokering for themselves,
Yeah.
um, or maybe in the way that they engage with other members of their respective creator community?
Yeah, I think it's a multi-pronged approach because I can advocate all day long, but if there's not a Dina on the other side that hears it and understands it, that doesn't really go anywhere. So then I have to think about advocating and building within my like-minded communities. And that's what I really advise creators to do is to really dig into your own communities and build and grow off of the platforms and off of agency support because if the agencies aren't hiring the right individuals that value equity, then it's like I'm advocating, I'm yelling, but you're not hearing me because you don't have the people there that want to hear, they're trained to hear. So it's really challenging. I wish I had better answers. I really don't. Just know that over time I've tried to focus more on building my brand and my entities within communities where I feel appreciated and celebrated, not
Hmm.
just like kind of tolerated and given the
Yeah.
kind of bare minimum. And honestly, that was a lot of the early days and a
Hmm.
lot of it's just, figuring things out. So you didn't really know. So you're just kind of, you're trying to fit into these spaces. And over time you see people that don't have the same passion as you, skill level, but they look a lot different, they're getting
Yeah.
the opportunities, and that still continues. I mean, it's honestly just a copy
Yeah.
paste of America. It's like, I don't think there's anything like really sexy to say there.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the platforms also bear some of the responsibility, in particular TikTok. And this has been, a very prevalent conversation over the years on TikTok in a number of ways. But after you and I talked about it, actually, I observed in my own For You page some really interesting creators of color. They were largely fashion creators, actually. I'll send you a couple of them because I think you'll
Oh,
like their
please do.
style. You listening who don't know Felicia, she has remarkable style. We've only talked about skincare and being a creator today, but she has incredible fashion taste.
Fun.
And then I clicked on their profile, for example, and they had much fewer followers than I
Yeah,
expected. But then
yeah,
there will be people who maybe have the more quote unquote traditional or Eurocentric, all American, quote unquote, again,
right,
air quotes required style of beauty that do
right.
much less interesting content, have much less interesting style, and have a much larger following.
Right. I mean, if I had like $1 for every right top and like khakis and red lip that's
Yeah.
thrive throughout the creator economy, I'd be really rich. Amongst my friends were always like, we can't do the basic and thrive,
Yeah.
So it really becomes very frustrating because again, it's like clean beauty aesthetic. Or I
Yeah.
just saw something recently about like a hair weaving technique that is like blackety black black. And there are people that are like, oh,
Uh-huh.
this is new. They're like Eurocentric. This is this new thing, and we're like, "What?" So it's just
Yeah.
it's mind-boggling, but it's frustrating. It's a lot of things, it's really frustrating, and that continues to exist. I'm often on podcasts and panels and meeting with folks from our industry, and they're like, "Why aren't you a millionaire now? Why do you have 1,000,000 followers?" And I think that this is a big part of it. It's not just like you're not passionate. I know that like what I'm doing is very passion led, and I've been very consistent, but there
Mhm.
really is a lot to contend with, and the
Yeah.
inequity is real.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I am curious because I have negotiated with you a couple of times over the years on brand partnerships, I guess most notably when I was at NARS a few years
Yes.
ago. And if I remember correctly, you didn't then, and I don't know if you now have an agent or a manager, right?
Right. Yeah, that's correct.
So, do you have any practical advice for creators who are maybe trying to negotiate brand partnerships?
Yes, I would say that it's really important to build up a network of, colleagues in the industry, know your people, your
Mhm.
tribe. Before I got into beauty, I had a corporate job. I worked in HR. I always tell people, like, the company will tell you when to take a vacation and when you need training and when you need other things. But when you work for yourself, no one is like, girl, go get that training. Or, you need to talk to people about, how much money they make. So as you go through your career as a creator, or even just starting to learn, you have to learn to talk to people. Starting your career as a creator, it's important that you begin to build your little tribe of people that you can get together with maybe like once a quarter, that you can talk
Mm,
about what's trending, what are the new apps, what are you doing, how are you making money, what do you think of this agency, what do you think of that agency. I have a core group
yeah.
that I still do that with to this day, where we share ideas and just kind of catch up, because you really, when you work for yourself, you don't really have coworkers. You don't have a work wife
Yeah.
or work husband. So you have to create that for yourself and create your own training and development. And, some of it is on the job, but some of it you have to really go out and seek and put yourself in the spaces that you can gain the knowledge that you need to gain in order to be successful or have longevity. So definitely develop a tribe that you can connect with and discuss those things. They're paying, I heard such and such was paid this, or oh, they paid me that. Like, I have friends to this day, I'll say like,
Mhm.
here's this deal, what do you think of this? I'll say, that agency, they paid me this or they paid that. So we need to
Yep.
have those discussions, because it's not like, I remember way, way, way back in the day, you could go on like salary.com and places like that to see like
Yeah.
an engineer in New York with 5 years of experience should be making,
Yep.
but we don't really have that. So we have to develop our little communities and talk to one
Mhm.
another.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion, and a lot of the founders that I know have their
Mhm.
own little sort of mastermind WhatsApp groups or Slacks. So, I hope that that is also the case for creators because I think those spaces can be great places to digitally gather, although it's,
Ex-
of course, equally as important, I think, to build those communities and those networks in person where you can.